What's up, guys? We are live for today's AMA. I'm your host, Greg Mercer, and joined by my co-host, Rolando Galliano. What's up, man?
Hey, what's happening, Greg? What's up, Freedom Builders?
I am excited for today's Ask Me Anything. If you guys haven't joined us here before, this is where Rolando and myself for the next 45 minutes will answer any questions that you guys have for us. This is the $1 Million Case Study edition of the Ask Me Anything series. So today we're going to be focusing on our last two live episodes, our last $2 Million Case Study episodes, which was about tax legal as well as product launches. So ask us anything that you want. We'll probably focus on those questions, but go ahead and put whatever questions you guys have in the chat box for us. The first question we have is from YouTube from Peace Lotus. It says, I live in California. Can I get an LLC from a different state? I have an LLC in California, but the yearly fee is $800. Yikes. I like to switch if possible. So, of course, neither Rolando nor myself are attorneys, and this isn't legal advice, but my understanding of it is that, yes, you can get an LLC in a different state. If you were to set up a brick and mortar shop in the state of California, I think that's when it's required to have a California LLC. I believe that's the rules around in all states. But if you operate a primarily online business, my understanding of it is you can get an LLC from any state. So you could do something like Wyoming, it's only $50 a year. All right.
We got Uki87 from YouTube asks, great info. What about Canadians?
I assume you're talking about legal and tax matters for Canadians. And of course, this would be a very boring and very, very long episode if we tried to cover all the different tax and legal implications all around the world. But I know if you want to sell on the Amazon US store, if you do not live in the US, you do have to have a legal entity. And from my understanding, you could either open up a Canadian legal entity, so incorporate somewhere in Canadian, or it is possible for foreign individuals to own a US LLC. So those are the two ways to go about it. And a lot of the sales tax stuff, or a lot of like the tax related stuff would kind of still be relevant to what we covered during that episode.
We got Joyce from YouTube asks, how do you calculate refunded orders sales tax?
Good question. I don't know for sure what you mean by how do you count. Or like, I think what you're asking, Joyce, is like, how do you do the bookkeeping for that so that you don't have to remit that tax? And that's something that you would probably just want to use a tool, something like Fetcher or some other software tool to help you do that. It's probably deep in Amazon reports somewhere, but without the help of a third-party tool, I couldn't tell you like exactly what report that would be.
All right, Ivan, switching up gears here. I thought that Amazon removes reviews that are a result of a deep discount.
Yeah, good question, Ivan. And to answer that, I'll say that it is more likely that your reviews will get removed if they were bought from someone who purchased them with a discount, okay? So Amazon frequently and often removes reviews. They have some kind of algorithm that determines the likelihood that the review is being like abused somehow or whatever else. And with this very complex algorithm they have, they use machine learning to do it. Whether or not, if it's a verified purchase or unverified, or if it was bought at a discount and how big of a discount, those are all taken into account into that. And yes, it's definitely proven that it's more likely that Amazon will remove the reviews if it was purchased with a deep discount. All that being said, they usually stick around for a while, you know, so maybe they stick around for 2, 4, 6 months. And at that point, it's not as big of a deal to me if they remove it now that I've gotten like a bunch of reviews that are purchased at full, or, you know, that the products were purchased at full price, and those are more likely to stick around. But even those, like, Amazon removes reviews, and that's something that just everyone has to come to terms with and understand. It's unfortunate and it's frustrating when you go from like 200 reviews down to like 150 or 180 or whatever else. But like every month for the past 3 or 4 years that I can remember, everyone is always scared about like this new Amazon review wipeout that they've done or whatever. And it's like, this has been happening every month for like the past 4 years. So you just have to understand that.
All right, another launch question by Zishan on YouTube says, do you originally price the product higher so that when you list on JumpSend, the deep discount doesn't hurt as bad?
That is one strategy you can use. I do not normally do that. Just because I'm willing and understand that just part of it's losing money in those first few weeks or first month or so. The downside to doing that and pricing it higher so that the jump send discount doesn't hurt as bad is that when you do that, it's less likely that organic shoppers on Amazon are going to purchase your product at full price. And since I typically do my jump send launch as well as PPC at the same time, the PPC campaigns probably aren't going to convert very well. So I just price it kind of how I normally would.
Awesome. Another question from Zishan. He's dropping some good questions in here. Can I change my Seller Central account to a LLC later after I already registered as a sole proprietorship?
Yep. You just go into Amazon's account. You just go into your account settings in there, and you can change both the tax information, I believe, like the legal owner's name or whatever the verbiage is inside Amazon account. But I've done that before, so yes, you can do that.
All right. Adventurous Human on YouTube asks, my keyword says it needs 65 daily giveaways to rank. How's that possible? Is JumpSend still worth it if you don't make the minimum giveaway numbers?
Yeah, so something that you have to understand is that that's for one individual keyword. And I'm sure you found that inside of Jungle Scout's Keyword Scout because it recommends how many giveaways you have to do to rank in the top few spots for that particular keyword. So that particular keyword is likely very, very competitive. And what's going to end up happening if you do a giveaway, let's say you give away like 10 or 20 a day on JumpSend as opposed to the 65 a day that is recommended for that particular keyword, you'll rank for other keywords. So like you rank for a bunch of keywords. It's not just that one particular keyword, okay? So I probably wouldn't give away 65 a day because that seems like it would be very expensive and really just expensive to do. So I wouldn't do that. What I would do is just give away like 10 or 20 a day. And if you look at some of your other keywords, besides maybe that one most popular keyword, you'll see that the recommended giveaways for those wouldn't be as high.
Cool. George from Facebook asks, hey, Greg, launching my Amazon business this month. Any recommendation as to how to link products to suppliers here in the US? Your videos and education have inspired me exponentially. Thank you for the great education and help.
All right. So the question was how to find US suppliers. Is that right?
Link products to suppliers here in the US.
Sounds like it. Probably like how do you find suppliers for the products in the US? There is a website called, what is it called? ThomasNet. Is that right?
Yeah, ThomasNet.
ThomasNet is a directory of suppliers that are based in the US or North America. So you can check that out. What you will find through this is that it's not as comprehensive and not as good as like Alibaba. But if that's important to you and you're passionate about finding a supplier based in America or North America, then that's kind of the best resource that I know. Besides that, you really just have to turn to Google. I don't know of any other like good resources for that.
All right, we got Jonathan on YouTube asking, what's the average people spend on JumpSend per product, and how about best discount results?
Yeah, so that's going to vary quite a bit depending on how much your product costs you, how competitive the niche is. It's going to depend on a number of kind of like different factors like that. So it's hard to tell you like how much people will spend on JumpSend. JumpSend itself is only like $30, so it's really cheap. Where more of the money is going to be is actually the discounts that you have to eat, right? So yeah, it's really hard to guess. I mean, if you're just trying to kind of come up with a number, I would say estimate like a 75% discount and estimate maybe like giving away 50 or 60 products like at that kind of discount. And then you could see what that works out for your particular product.
All right. We've got YR on YouTube asking, it seems that most people don't want to receive feedback requests. They all opt out of receiving them. What do you advise to do?
Yeah. So from our studies, it seems like roughly 1/3 of Amazon shoppers opt out of receiving messages through the buyer messaging platform. there's nothing you can really do about that. Just like if you were to collect email addresses on your website and then people choose to opt out after that, there's nothing you can do. I mean, that's legal requirements that they have the ability to opt out of emails like that, and they have chosen to do so. So, but I mean, that's a third of people. You still have the other 2/3 of people. So yeah, that kind of just is what it is.
All right. Zishan again on YouTube asking, can you jump send coupons to friends and family, aka non-jump send members?
Yes. So you don't actually have to use jump send to do that. You could use jump send to distribute those coupons, or when you create those coupons, you could just shoot them to them like in a text. So yeah, you can give Amazon coupons to anyone you want. Jump send is just one way to distribute them.
All right. Curly in Red on YouTube asks, when setting up follow emails via JumpSend, are they only sent to customers that use the discount code or everyone who purchased the item on Amazon?
Sorry. Quick technical difficulty. I'm back. The emails on JumpSend are sent to everyone, regardless if they purchased at a discount or not. So like when you think about it, you want everyone to leave you a review. Anyone who purchases your product, you want them to leave you a review. That's why you're going to send emails to everyone who purchases your product, and that's what JumpSend does.
All right. Adventurous Human on YouTube. I'm surprised you can do email campaigns on Amazon. Can you export their emails?
Good question. I wish. That'd be really nice. But no, unfortunately, Amazon sees these customers as their customers, not yours. So you cannot contact them directly. Instead, what you get is a anonymized email address that is just like an alphanumeric string, like at Amazon.com. And when you send an email to that email, that's what like JumpSend does for you automatically. It then forwards it to that person. So it is anonymized. You don't get their actual personal contact information. Amazon kind of just handles that, communication for you.
All right, we got Zishan on YouTube. He's been dropping some good questions in here. Is JumpSend free to use for both sellers and buyers?
No, JumpSend starts at $29 per month, which is a good enough plan for most people. So let's call it $30 a month for sellers. For shoppers, these are like the bargain hunters, the people requesting the coupons. It's free for them to use. We want to encourage as many shoppers as possible. And I think we have like 125,000 shoppers on there.
All right. Desmond on YouTube asks, what are some things you wish you knew when you first started your Amazon FBA journey? And so, yeah, that's a good question.
Why don't you take that one, Rolando? What are some things you wish you knew starting your FBA journey?
Yeah, this question, we had a very similar question not too long ago. But to me, ideally, it's just being able to reach out to more manufacturers early on in the early stages, because as you know, some of them start to kind of fall through the cracks. So I would say that that's definitely something that I wish I knew from day one, because of course it could derail things sometimes. So just having like a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C out the gate, I would say that would definitely be something that I find helpful and useful. And if I knew my younger self, I would advise myself to do that.
Cool. I like it. All right. I don't know where you're at in these questions. There's a lot of them today, isn't there?
Peace Lotus, YouTube, ask, when is your projected launch date for Jungle Slider? Just wondering if I need to start the product launch action items stuff if my item won't get to Amazon until November 19th.
Looks like two different questions in there. Why don't you answer the first one, Rolando? What is the launch date for Jungle Slider? You want to give us an update?
Yeah. So right now we are, unfortunately, we are a little setback and in terms of manufacturing and production. It's taking a little longer than we had anticipated. So that's one of the challenges that we're facing. So we don't have a set date yet. I'm working with the manufacturer on that very closely and trying to speed up the production time. But there's a lot of moving parts in this particular product with the Jungle Slider. It's not just straight private label, right? We're doing customer-driven innovation. So we made a lot of changes. And as a result, we're having to just work through all that. But to answer the other question, as far as your action items, the overall contest for the Amazon Seller Seed Fund ends in December. But there's still plenty of time. It's not based on the quantity of action items that you complete. It's more based on, we're going to randomize. So of course, the more entries, the better off you are. But definitely, so there's still time to complete those action items and qualify for that $2,500 in cash.
Sweet. Next one we have is Christoph on YouTube. My question is, I'm not a US citizen and I'm not living in the US. I joined Amazon US to sell my own country legal entity, EU country, or do I have to set up a US LLC? It's my understanding that you can register for a Seller Central account on Amazon with a legal entity from countries other than the US. So to directly answer your question, yes, you can use the legal entity that you've established in the EU to sign up for a US-based Seller Central account. Vlad from YouTube says, hey Greg, what is your personal experience with launch strategies other than deal sites and PPC? I don't really have any experience with the other ones. I've never taken the time to build an email list around any of these other products. I've never created kind of a niche site around them or whatever else. The rest of them to me are kind of too either time consuming or costly. So I haven't done any of the other ones besides deal sites or just using PPC. We have in the past tried to do different Facebook ad tests to get people to purchase our product both at full price and at a discount, which is kind of one of the launch strategies that I spoke about. But once you really factored in all the time and costs associated with it, it just didn't make sense. It was cheaper and way easier just to use a deal site like JumpSend. So that was kind of the end of that test. All right.
All right. The Curats, I believe, off of YouTube asks, any truth to the rumor that heavily discounted sales will not be used to rank on page 1?
Yeah, good question. I think that when in Amazon's ranking algorithm, it does seem like they take this into account, but the sales definitely still help you rank better. So maybe they're only weighted at 75% instead of 100%, 100% if it's a full price sale. That's maybe possible. No one really knows for sure, but I do know that the sales from the discounted, sales still help you rank better. So is there a little truth to it? Maybe, but it's still it still works. It's still the best method that I know of.
All right, Greg from YouTube. When you talk about giveaways, what is the best way to do giveaways?
Yeah, so we spent the whole episode of the $1 Million Case Study kind of talking about the different ways that you can launch your product. When we're talking about it, we primarily use a deal site that's built by Jungle Scout called JumpSend. So JumpSend is a place where you can distribute coupons, and there's over 100,000 bargain shoppers on there looking for these coupons. So they get an Amazon coupon from you, then they go to Amazon, they purchase at that discount, and that helps. They like it because they just got a product at 75% off, and you like it because you get initial sales. Without initial sales, it's hard to rank well on Amazon.
All right. We've got Joey from Facebook is asking, is the recommended giveaway based upon an assumed current sales velocity of 0? And thanks in advance.
Yes. It's based on the total sales velocity. So say you launched your product a few weeks ago, but you didn't really do a launch strategy associated with it. It's already selling 3 or 5, but the recommended giveaway is 15. Well, you would just take the difference between 5 and 15 and try to get 10 additional sales per day.
All right. Next, we've got Iklak on Facebook is asking, hi guys, can you enlighten me on copyright issues? Selling same items which are already listed on Amazon.
All right. Copyright issues. It doesn't sound like that's your problem. You said selling some items which are already listed on Amazon. How Amazon works is if it's the exact same SKU, so that has the same UPC code because like you've purchased it from a wholesaler or whatever, then when you list it on Amazon, it's under that same listing, okay? When you say copyright issues, I assume you're probably talking about patent issues, which is a different type of IP law. Patents protect the way that an item functions or is designed. And yeah, that's kind of a whole different bag of worms. I would probably recommend for you to go back and watch our episode that we did on IP law, where we talk a little bit more about patents, trademarks, and copyrights. We kind of give you the difference between all three because each of those different IP laws is an area that people commonly get confused. But hopefully that answer helps a little.
And specifically, it's episode 4 on doing patent research on your product before diving into that space. So it's junglescout.com/MDCS4-4, and you'll learn everything you need to know about patent research there.
Great. All right, Vlad on YouTube says, "Hey Greg, great work with the case study. I have a question. What is the best method to get rid of 500 pieces without losing too much money? PPC or giveaway?" So I assume Vlad, I assume you like purchased a product that you realized wasn't a good fit, or for whatever reason you don't want it anymore. I would recommend trying both of these and seeing which one you kind of like recoup more of your money with. So yeah, both of those would be effective methods. I don't know if I exactly have one that is better than the other. All right. Rob S. is also, go ahead.
Oh, Rob on YouTube asks, I was under impression that LLC name and brand needed to be the same. Can you explain how Jungle Creation is able to produce multiple brands? For example, Jungle Sticks, Jungle Snugs, and Jungle Slider.
Because the LLC does not need to be the same name as your brand name. You can just name your LLC ABC123 LLC if you wanted, and it doesn't really matter. Like you can do business as a DBA under whatever name you want, and you can create whatever brands you want underneath that legal entity. So the LLC's name has no, or doesn't need to be correlated to the brand or the shopping account name in any way.
All right. Next, we've got Jurek on YouTube asking, selling through PPC has its own advantages such as full price and Amazon indexing for the PPC keywords. Do you think the giveaway strategy is more effective to sell 100 compared with PPC?
We like to combine them because you're right. PPC does have its own advantages, Jerk. So yeah, that's why we combine both of them. We do our PPC and we also do our giveaways. A lot of people have trouble getting enough sales to really start ranking well using only PPC, and that's why I like to combine it with giveaways. The giveaways also tend to get a little bit higher review rate. Yeah, so that's what I do.
All right, we have Alexandru on YouTube asking, can you recommend some companies worth considering for translating and optimizing your listings in other languages? And as a matter of fact, we do, don't we?
What do you recommend, Rolando?
Junglemarket.com. Definitely, it's one of our own. It's one of our sites. All the sellers on there or the different service providers are vetted through us. So I would highly recommend starting there.
The other nice thing about Jungle Market is they all have reviews. So you can just go in there, you can see all the different service providers, the different prices that they have, read the different reviews, and find the one that's best for you. Because yeah, some people do translations for certain languages or whatever else. So yeah. All right, Desmond says a tax question. Uh-oh. I plan to start an Amazon FBA business with a partner for tax and legal structures. What should we be sure to register as What should we be sure to register under as co-owners? Does Amazon allow this? Again, not a lawyer, but I understand this as a partnership or an LP, a limited partnership. It's a type of legal entity. And yes, Amazon allows those to register on their website. So that's what you do, Desmond. All right. Suha asks, hello, is it true that Amazon will not post or take down posted reviews if the product was bought at a discount? Thank you so much for everything you're doing. Suha, we answered this a little bit earlier, but Amazon oftentimes takes down reviews. And this is something that unfortunately we all have to live with as sellers, even though we hate it. The chances of a review getting taken down if they were purchased at a deep discount is higher. That's just the reality of it. It seems like to me though, like on average, when I do this, I'd say those reviews usually last 2, 4, 6 months. I mean, sometimes they last forever. Other times though, they get removed after a few months. But like for me, it helps me get those initial reviews, which then helps me get more sales. And when I get more organic sales, then I get more reviews. And then those first few reviews aren't as important anymore. So, just understand that very rarely do reviews last forever. And if they are purchased at a discount, it is more likely that they get taken down.
Awesome. We have Kay on YouTube asking, if you change your seller name, will you maintain your reviews and ratings so that they transfer over to your new name? And then you guys are awesome, by the way. So thank you so much, Kay.
So product reviews on a listing are linked to the individual listing. It doesn't matter what seller is selling that product, they always stick with that particular listing, okay? Now, there's also something called seller feedback, which was invented in the days before FBA existed. It was an important item because this is how consumers, this is one of the methods that consumers use to decide which vendor to choose or to purchase their product from. Now that like everyone does FBA, seller feedback doesn't really matter. No one really goes to look at that because it's all fulfilled by Amazon. So like, who cares who the seller is? So if you change your seller name, your seller feedback will transfer over. But again, seller feedback doesn't really matter, and the product reviews will stay with the listing. So to answer your question, Kay, feel free to change your seller name. It doesn't really impact anything.
All right, we got Larry on YouTube asking, out of 1,000 sales, I've only gotten about 30 reviews using JumpSend to send review requests. Is that a low number normal?
So that sounds like you have about a 3% review rate. Organically on Amazon without sending follow-up emails, the organic rate of receiving reviews is about 1 to 2%. So out of 1,000 sales, you'd have about 10 to 20 reviews. Using something like JumpSend to send emails to ask the customers to leave reviews, it's more common to see review rates around 5%, which would be 50. So yours are a little bit lower than I'd say average of what people find using a tool like JumpSend. So you could probably think about maybe changing up your email sequence a little bit, see if you can optimize it to hopefully get some more reviews. I wouldn't say that's out of the ordinary 3%, but I would say that is a little bit lower than an average JumpSend customer.
Yeah, maybe tweaking those emails will go a long way. Adding some additional value in the emails. We talked about a downloadable PDF with instructions or something like that. It really helps and puts you front and center in front of the customer. All right, we've got Jurek asking, because we are losing money with giveaways compared with PPC, where can we put the profit for PPC plus giveaway cost?
Because we're losing money with giveaways compared with PPC, I'm not sure if I understand that question. Typically, when you do PPC in the early days, you also lose money because you're trying to figure out what keywords work. Like when I'm doing a launch, I usually go into it understanding that both of those are going to be losing money. Yeah, but I don't really understand your question, Jurek. I'm sorry. Do you understand it, Rolando, or?
No, I mean, I'm wondering if it's more like if it's a long-term cost, if it's, startup cost. I think that's probably where it would fall into place is where they're asking in terms of, let's see here, the giveaway cost.
Rob S says, my inventory is not moving as fast as I expected. When do long-term storage fees apply? Is it best to send a removal order and send it back to myself? Long-term storage fees start to apply after 6 months, and especially during November, December, they actually are pretty darn expensive. So depending on how much inventory you have and how much you think you'll spend, or how much you think you'll sell during Q4, it may be best to send a removal order to yourself. For you, I'd price it out both ways, like what it's moving at right now and what you expect for Q4 for it to improve, because your sales, I don't know what your product is, but will likely improve this month and next. So I would just weigh at both sides, like how much is it going to cost to send it to myself, to store it at my house, whatever, for a few months, and then send it back, versus the long-term storage fees.
We've got Desmond on YouTube asking, when is the last day for 2008 to get your products into Amazon?
Well, the last day of 2018 is the last day of 2018 to get it in there. I think what you might be asking is, actually, I don't really know. Maybe what they're
categories like toys, there's restrictions, but in general, you have up until the very end of the year. You got to factor in, of course, the time for it to ship, but yeah, you have until the end of the year, ultimately.
Yeah, they might be talking about when to get it in for like the Christmas rush, which the time to start sending them in is right about now, because throughout November and the first half of December, the distribution centers are more crowded, so it takes longer for them to unpack your shipments. So if you're trying to get in for the Christmas rush, you really need to be starting to send it in now.
Cool. Steven from YouTube asks, does JumpSend UK have a lot of demand for coupons?
Yeah, good question. It doesn't have as much demand as the US. The US does have more shoppers than the UK, but there still is significant demand for coupons. Whether or not you're on the US or the UK site, I think most people are shocked that they have to offer like a 70 or 80% discount or something like that, because we all value our own products a lot more probably than anyone else does. But these are bargain hunters. They're looking for a very good deal and a very deep discount. So expect that with using a deal site like JumpSend.
I think the next question we answered, it's coming from Joey, where if the assumed current sales velocity is at 0, and you already had answered that one. So we'll go to Mike on YouTube. Is competition the biggest factor in launch giveaway numbers?
Yes, it's the amount of competition and how many units that competition's selling. So more holistically, the demand.
All right, we have Anatoly from Facebook asking, I see different giveaway numbers in different tools. Can you guys share how you calculate the giveaway numbers?
Yeah, so we have a algorithm to calculate that. It's not a particular algorithm that we publish publicly, because we did kind of like build this in-house and a little bit of our secret sauce associated with it. But it takes a number of factors into account, like the search volume, the competition, the amount of like units sold or the demand. So a number of different factors like that. Jungle Scout is a much more established company than a lot of these competitors. A lot of these just 1-2 people kind of sitting in their basement or whatever, whereas we have a whole team of data scientists. And just a lot more selling experience than what most of these other companies do. So just like our sales estimates, I think our giveaway numbers, what you'll find to be much more accurate than some of the competition.
All right, and we have Mayor on Facebook asking, hello, Greg. If I have a product on sale, can I make a change in the product? For example, increase or decrease the number of pieces?
So do you think they're saying, Rolando, like go from like a 6-pack to an 8-pack?
Yeah, it sounds like more. Yeah, exactly. Like if it's already at the warehouse, can you make changes?
Okay, so yeah, something like that. You would have to do a removal order. So remove it from the warehouse, ship it to yourself, and then make those changes. You can't like request for Amazon at the warehouse to pull your goods, to make changes for you, then like to put them back into inventory. That's not really how it works.
And 9 times 10, what happens is once they hit Amazon, they're going to distribute X amount to this one warehouse in Tennessee, this other warehouse in Los Angeles. So your inventory is everywhere, essentially.
Yeah. All right. Konark says, how can I link to Facebook ads, Instagram ads to Amazon listings? Rolando, you want to take that?
Yeah. I've done a lot of paid traffic through Facebook ads, Instagram. Literally, you'd have to just shoot it direct to the listing itself. Use that domain because, of course, there's really no way to capture emails unless you build your own external site and funnel them through that. So yeah, it's just go straight to the listing and make them buy. That's the deal with external traffic.
Yeah, the really tough thing about it is you don't really know how well some of it's converting, right? So that's what makes driving external paid traffic to an Amazon listing really difficult. One other thing that some people do is they use an Amazon affiliate link. However, I do believe and understand that that's against the Amazon Associates terms of service to send traffic to your own listing. So they could ban your Amazon Associates account for that. Some people don't really care because they're just trying to use it for tracking, but something to think about. At least you know all the options now. All right. Jonathan on YouTube says, how do you make sure your requests on JumpSend ultimately convert into sales? There's no way to make sure that your requests ultimately convert to sales. Even though we give someone a coupon, at that point, we can't force this shopper to use that coupon. I will say probably 70 or 80% of the coupons do get used and convert into sales. However, as you can imagine, we don't really have a way to force the consumer or the shopper to really use that coupon.
All right, we've got Mike on YouTube asking, does JumpSend offer keyword optimization for PPC and title?
No. JumpSend doesn't have like an optimization service. I think that's what you're asking. If you're looking for like a service provider, as in like a person to help you optimize that, you can always check out our Jungle Market, junglemarket.com. It has pre-vetted Amazon experts to provide services like that for you.
All right. We have Jorge from YouTube asking, have you received any negative reports of feedback from JumpSend users who have used the keyword targeted URL? Has Amazon sent any emails to those users warning them not to use it?
No, we've never heard of any complaints from Amazon regarding that. That being said, some people do believe that could be thought of as like ranking manipulation. So we put that little disclaimer in there just to be fully transparent with you guys. But if we ever got any legit reports from Amazon that they're mad at sellers, we'd probably just remove that from the tool. So no, to date, that's never happened.
All right. Seth from YouTube, how long should I wait to increase discount on JumpSend if I'm not getting enough daily sales during giveaway?
Usually know within like a day or two. So 2-3 days have passed and you're not getting enough requests per day. That's when I'd increase my discount.
All right. Frank from YouTube, if my product is arriving in Amazon mid-December, is it best to wait until the new year instead? What impact would this be on my launch mid-December or January?
I don't know why everyone always has this question. It always baffles me a little bit. No, go ahead and launch it. There's no like perfect time to launch. In the middle of December, actually, if there was a best time, that would probably be a great time to do it. So no, launch your product as soon as it's ready. Don't wait for anything.
And the funny thing is that sales continue on through January because people have received their Amazon gift card. And what are they doing? They're going and they're shopping. So in fact, there's a bump in January. So don't think that if you start in January that you're losing out on sales. It's actually a great time to capitalize on those sales.
Yeah, totally. Sales on Amazon happen all year round. Go ahead and just launch as soon as
that too. That too. They never stop.
Yeah, it's one thing that's great about it. All right. Rob on YouTube says, thanks, Jungle Scout. Any idea of a good estimate for an increased percent of sales during the holiday season over regular sales? 300%, 500%, higher? What I would do, if you have the Jungle Scout Chrome extension, go in there, click on the monthly sales numbers, and then you'll be able to see a graph of historical sales. And what you can do is you can see how much the sales increased during Q4 for that particular product. That's the best way to figure it out because it really does depend, and everyone hates that answer, but it's the truth. If you're selling toys, you might see like a 10x increase. If you're selling like Band-Aids, it will probably just like kind of stay constant, okay? So it really does depend on the product. If you can see your product being used as a gift, then it's likely higher, but there's not really like one number that we can put that would blanket work for all products.
All right. Anatoly asks, have you had any experience selling in gated categories? Please share stories. I can say no. I've always tried to stay away from gated categories, but just because there's so many other products out there. But I don't know if you have any experience in this space, Greg.
Yeah, so I mean, all it really comes down to is you just have to get ungated in these categories before you can sell in them. It's really kind of as simple as that. There's not really stories associated with it. Some categories are more strict on how to get ungated than others. Like searching through our Facebook group, there'd be good examples of this. But you can get ungated for almost all categories. Some of the ones like jewelry or fine watches or some things like that are a little bit harder, but things like health and personal care aren't that difficult to get ungated. And there are services to kind of help with some of this stuff if needed. So, all right. Andre asked, hey there, I'm a non-US citizen resident. I live in Europe. In order to sell in the US, do I really need an LLC? Can I start as the equivalent of a sole proprietor or individual businessman? If you are a non-US citizen or resident, I don't know which one it is, you have to have a social security number, then you don't need a legal entity to sign up for a US Seller Central account. If you live somewhere else like Europe, then you would need to have a legal entity to link up with your Seller Central account in order to open it.
All right. Adventurous Human asks, is there any downside to asking my friends, family, everyone I've ever met to purchase my product?
No downside. If you're asking about reviews from them, I'll just be completely honest with you here. I think a lot of people do this. They ask someone that they know to purchase their product and leave a review. But I'll also tell you that Amazon is extremely smart about figuring these reviews out, okay? And it's very unlikely that they'll ever stick. It's also against their terms of service. That's why we don't do it or recommend it. But like I was in Seattle like a month ago, and one of the floors in a very big office building that we were in was the whole entire floor, probably like, I don't know, over 100 people. All they were dedicated to is removing reviews that they believe are inauthentic or have been abused or something else. So they have like over 100 very, very smart people working on this problem, and they're very good at what they do. So you can ask them, it probably won't stick, but yeah, it is what it is.
All right. Sean from YouTube asks, any restrictions on insert cards as of 2018? Allowed to put email on it. And so thanks for all the content.
No restrictions. Just do this. For whatever reason, there's always been like rumors floating around that this isn't allowed or whatever else. But I mean, like if you think about it, right? Like if you buy a Sony TV off Amazon, it's gonna have like an insert card in it that tells you to like go register it on their website for a warranty or something. You think Sony cares if Amazon allows that or not? Like no, like that's just included in their packaging, right? And it's the same thing with you guys. You know, like you're creating a brand, you put kind of whatever you want inside your packaging. That's just how it is. So feel free to go for it. So we have 1 minute left, Rolando. You want to choose one last good question?
All right, let's see here. I guess since we are covering, covering PPC next week, so we'll dive deep. Sorry, Miriam, but we'll cover PPC in depth next week. Let's see. Any, mini, miny, mo. Trenton in Facebook says, hey, fellas, have found a solid product, contacted suppliers, but no one can make it with the modifications requested, which are selling well. What do you recommend when your Alibaba suppliers have run dry?
Maybe you could think about doing different modifications. It's hard to know a good answer to that question without a few more details. But I think you need to look
venturing into maybe related industries, because if there's a manufacturer that doesn't necessarily make this particular product, but they have the capacity and the ability to do it because it's a plastic material, right? So start venturing into those categories as well.
Totally. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey guys, that wraps up today's Ask Me Anything. If you're not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, you are absolutely crazy. Best Amazon YouTube channel on the web. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I think it is. Hit that subscribe button. We also want to announce this week's $1 Million Case Study Challenge winner. This goes to Stacy Ramey Law. Congratulations, you get 2 months of the Jungle Scout web app. Just shoot us an email at freedombuilders@junglescout.com to claim your prize. Rolando, thank you very much for joining me today, man. I enjoyed it.
It was a good Ask Me Anything session. Thank you guys for watching. And till next time, right?
See you next time. Adios. Bye.
Take care. Keep crushing it, Freedom Builders.